Alexis,
Hey, Drew.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, too.
Looking great today.
Hey, thank you.
We
Appreciate it.
just came out of Halloween. So we did a Halloween episode last week. Halloween was actually this last weekend.
Yep.
For us. So did you go trick-or-treating?
We actually took my son to the Walmart Spooky Street, which was store 5260 in Rogers.
Oh, okay.
It was so cool. It was
fun.
like Disneyland.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, not to that, like,
Was that on Saturday?
it was on, yeah. No, I went on Sunday, but
on
they had it
Sunday.
up for 3 days, Friday,
Okay.
Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had like, I mean, it was crazy. Like these little houses that somebody built and put together. One was like a pumpkin. It was awesome.
Did you go as the Germinator or did you go as something else?
Sadly, no, I just went as myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? I would have
I
thought for
know.
sure you would have dressed up.
I know. I didn't dress up. My son didn't dress up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, I just want to wear my sweats. And I was like, looking at myself as I'm wearing sweats.
That
Fair.
works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, but it was awesome.
Cool. That's
What
great.
about you? Did
My,
you trick or treat?
I did not. My
Did your daughter?
my youngest daughter went around the neighborhood.
Okay.
She was not King Kong. What's the other one? Godzilla.
Godzilla.
She was Godzilla, and she did that. And then my
That's a
middle,
great costume choice, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
so cute. My middle daughter went to a party, and she was one of the characters off of, is it Lilo and Stitch?
Oh.
But not Lilo and Stitch. Somebody else. One of the characters.
Okay.
And so she went to a party, and then my son, he handed out the candy. And
Oh,
stuff.
that's great.
So
Yeah, there weren't very many trick or treaters.
Oh,
really?
I ran out of candy.
Did you?
I went to. There was a ton of people out.
Wow.
Ton of people out.
I think
do
a bunch
you-
of people got dropped off at my neighborhood.
Shoot, I should have been one of those that were like dropped
Yeah.
off in your neighborhood.
Listen, when we ran out of candy, we started handing out Slim Jims.
Listen,
Hey, at
I
least
would
you had
show up
something.
for a Slim Jim.
We had to resort to the Slim Jims.
All right. So we have a
Yeah.
great guest. You want to
We
introduce
do.
Bethany?
Yes. So this is Bethany Evans, and she's a regional for health and wellness. I mean, we've already had a good conversation, and I had no idea she was going to show up today in person until Friday, and I'm super stoked.
New Orleans.
Just north of New Orleans, yep, on
Yep.
the North Shore.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes.
We saw her story in an article, right?
We did. Yeah, read all about your story, and especially around the hurricane that was here in September, all
Yes.
kinds of things, and how you, you went above and beyond. You and your team, it was incredible, and so I'm excited to dive into it today.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Yeah.
share the details
I love
of
it.
everything that we were able to do.
Yeah, it was crazy, huh? What a
it
crazy
was-
time. Before we do
was.
that, talk a
Yeah.
little bit about your Walmart story. We all have a story.
Yes, we all have a story. Yep. So I will have been with Walmart. It'll be 20 years in December.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So my entire time has been spent in health and wellness. So I actually started stocking shelves in Department 40 in health and wellness, and I have had every position inside of the health and wellness space, manager,
Wow.
and I was a market director in the Columbus, Ohio area.
Oh, wow.
So my tenure is mostly Ohio, and up until 2 years ago, I was in St. Louis
Okay.
as a regional health and wellness director, and then a year ago, I got moved to
Got it. That's when you went down there.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have the accents or anything like that, but I'm starting to
Yeah.
learn how to cook.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
Cajun. So that's working out real well.
It's great food down there.
Oh,
New
It's a-
Orleans has the best food.
It is a culinary
Yeah.
like.
I'm
you
jealous.
can't
I've
beat it.
never been.
You've never been to New Orleans?
I've never
You
been.
know what? I had never been there until I got moved to the area,
Oh,
and,
wow.
and
Yeah.
so enjoy it.
My
It's-
husband and I always plan trips for it, and then they never work out.
Ugh.
It's terrible.
We're in Columbus, or you say Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So in that area the whole time, the 10 years?
No, actually, I started in Cleveland.
Okay.
So I'm from Cleveland, the Cleveland area.
Got it.
And so stayed up there until I was a market director, and then I was in Columbus for 4 years before going on some projects on the East Coast,
Nice.
and so my
Wow.
career has landed me right now in Louisiana.
You found
Yeah.
yourself in Louisiana. Isn't that
did.
funny how
I
that
did,
works?
and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Yeah. What great people too.
Great people. I have never met friendlier people
Yeah.
than after being down there.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
Great.
Yep.
So cool. So walk us through. So
Yes.
from start to finish, we got all kinds of time here.
Oh
Bethany.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
What was the lead
Oh.
up to the hurricane? How did it happen?
Yes.
All that happened afterwards.
So very interesting. Last year.
And which hurricane is this? What's the name?
This was going to be Ida.
Ida.
Yep. So Hurricane Ida. So it actually started a year ago. I came into role right as Hurricane Laura was coming through, and so I was moved down into the region right in the middle, right after the hurricane actually had come through. So it was the Ohio girl that's never dealt with a hurricane, and just one after the other, we just kept getting hit
gosh.
last year. And so, the team persevered. We took our learnings away from it. And so this year, you do everything that you can. You pray that
Yeah.
you don't have any hurricanes, but this one, got very bad very quickly. So one thing that you learn after going through the hurricanes last year is you've got to be able to find your people.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize how much it scatters people. So when the hurricane actually came through, and I know we had spoken about this, I had people that evacuated to Indiana. I had people all through Texas, people up in Nashville, over in Pensacola, down in Destin.
Sure.
Wow.
And so, whenever you have a natural disaster, it's the people pieces. You can fix operations.
Right.
But the people piece is something that you have to wrap your arms around and make sure you keep very, very close.
Say other natural disasters like a flood even or a tornado is it kind of happens like the
Yes.
earthquake. It just happens, right? With a hurricane, there's this anticipation.
You see it coming.
And you see it coming, and you're like, "Where's it going to go?" And there's just all this
Yeah.
anxiety build up going into it, and you don't know the severity of it normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what's going to when it actually hits landfall. So there's that time in between or before it hits that you're trying to figure everything out, right?
Yeah, and they actually didn't predict for it to be that bad. And the closer it got,
right.
the worse.
It just
the
kept
worse
getting worse.
it kept getting worse. And then that's when we realized we're gonna be highly impacted. So one of the first things we do very well at Walmart is we have a very nice deck playbook that's like take care of yourself before you take care of your team.
Sure.
And so I read it because I'm from Ohio. So it was everything I needed to do to take care of myself, which is what I did. Things that I needed to make sure, things you don't think about. You have to have cash on you because when you have no
that's
electricity,
right.
you
Yeah.
can't use credit cards.
Oh,
Think
man.
about how you're going to get gas. Think about how you have no refrigeration. So all your food has to be able to be cooked either on your gas stove or eaten at room temperature. So just all
Wow.
of these things that we had to, I had to think through first. And so after I did that, it immediately turned to my team. And what we did is we really just took our entire region and broke us into three groups because we knew once the hurricane came on shore, communication would stop in some areas. We knew that we would lose contact. And my biggest concern was that I wanted to know where everybody was going to be during the
Yeah.
hurricane and then every day thereafter. So I call all my market directors. I'm like, I have 10 children and they're like spread everywhere.
Yeah.
It was the most, I have no children, but it was the most anxiety I had going into it. And so
And it's just building as the days get closer.
it's building.
Yeah.
And we literally, I said, okay, where's everybody going to be? Our last, the hurricane was coming on shore on Sunday. So on Saturday, I said, I have to evacuate. So we had one last call. It ended at 11:30, and I was out of my house at 12 because there was nowhere to evacuate. I had decided to evacuate kind of late in the process.
Got it.
So I went north, which is the absolute worst thing you can do in a hurricane because hurricanes go to the northeast when they travel.
Right.
But it was the risk I had to take. So I went 2.5 hours north. Very fortunate, that I was able to. My concern was to get up to my hotel, get set up so that I could get plugged back in with my team.
Almost like a command central there in the
I
hotel.
did.
Right?
Yeah. And it ended up being a 7-day
Wow.
command central because ultimately, once the hurricane came through, I had no power, I had no water. And so
At the house or at the hotel?
at the house.
At the house.
I was lucky that the hotel that I found actually had a generator. And I had no idea when I booked it. It was just the first hotel that I found that would take dogs. And
got it.
so I couldn't leave my 8-pound dog behind.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I was very fortunate because you literally work 24 hours a
Yeah,
day once the
yeah.
hurricane comes through. I had actually told our new RVP that I said, leading up to the hurricane, that's not the hard part.
Yeah.
The hard part's afterwards
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
you can't get a hold of people. So, we went to bed Saturday night.
Yeah.
Everybody had gotten hunkered down to where they were. We downloaded the walkie-talkie app on our phones so that we could talk to each other.
Yeah.
And, got up Sunday morning and we had gone from a category 1 to a category 4.
Wow.
And
And it's in the Gulf at this point?
yes, it was coming on shore
Yeah.
Sunday morning in one of our markets. And I just remember you couldn't watch any other station. The hurricane was on every station.
Yeah.
So we were just watching it come on shore. And, when I left my house before I evacuated, I literally stood in the middle of my house and I was like, please be here when I come back. Please,
Oh my
please let this
gosh,
house
yeah.
still
Yeah.
be here. And please don't let anybody get hurt
Yeah.
because we knew it was going to be bad.
Yep.
And so we watched it come through on Sunday, and it was Monday morning. We hit the ground running. We started, Sunday we were texting each other, but then communication kind of went out.
Where did it hit
Monday.
exactly? Like, where did the eye hit?
Yep. So it came up through Grand Isle.
Okay.
Grand Isle, Galliano, Homa area is where it hit. And we have stores in both.
Is that west of New Orleans?
So it's going to be to the southwest.
To the southwest?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So New Orleans ended up
Yeah.
on the east
On the
side
east
of
side
the.
of it, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. So if you know anything about hurricanes and how they spin,
Yep.
you never want to be on the east side of it because that's where the tornadoes and the rain and the wind and all that. Wow. So you learn a lot. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
Yeah.
I'm like, besides learning where to eat, I've learned how to predict a hurricane really well.
I'll say,
Weather girl.
man.
So it had come on shore and we had lost communication at that point. I had lost communication with my 3 market directors that I had 2 in New Orleans and one that was in Homa but left that Sunday morning when he had seen what was happening. And so thankfully, he got out, but it was just all hands on deck trying to find everybody. And then it was, okay, have you talked to your pharmacy managers? Have you talked to your vision center managers? Have you found all your, have we started making the calls to find your
Yeah.
people? It probably took us, I would say it was about 5 days later, and we had gotten a hold of all 800 associates in the area that was impacted.
And just for everybody's reference, how many stores are in your region?
I have 109.
109 stores. And then how many of those 109 were actually impacted by this?
In that area, it was upwards of about 40.
Got it.
So we lost power, water, everything
Wow.
in those areas. And so, first and foremost, is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Did they evacuate? If they didn't evacuate, how we talked to them. And so we spent, our HR team, our market director teams, myself, I literally was glued to my phone.
Yeah.
So that when somebody called, it was like, okay, we've gotten a hold
Yep,
of this
check
person.
'em
We've
off.
gotten, yep. And so, and that really was, that carries you through that first. And then you kind of, you breathe a sigh of relief once you find everybody.
Yep.
And then it's when the work begins and you start
Yeah.
realizing the damage.
Right. And like assessing everything that's.
And that's when it really kind of hit me. And for me, it was really difficult because I was 2.5 hours away and I so badly wanted to be
Yep.
there. But I knew I couldn't be there because there was, we were talking, there was no water, no electricity. Gas was very scarce at that point because one of the pipelines had been shut down. One of the cellular towers fell into the Mississippi River.
Oh, man.
And so it was, it was just, you just can't fathom, what's going on. But I knew that I had to stay put and I had to make sure that I was the person that did the
Kind of directing
the
traffic,
in between.
right?
Yep. And that's exactly, and And so what I ended up doing, in my time in the hotel room was I started going on Facebook and I started finding all of these Hurricane Ida relief sites. And it was all these people that had damage to their house or were missing an animal or trying to find a family member to see if they were okay. And as the days went on, needs started to come into play. They started asking, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. And that's really what catapulted getting what we call as Big Blue, which was our mobile pharmacy unit, which like gives me chills. I saw it as I was driving here from the airport. Really? It's parked outside.
Yeah. You want to tell everybody what that is?
Yeah. And so Big Blue is actually, it's our mobile pharmacy unit. And it's a unit that we deploy into disaster areas where there's a need for pharmacy services. And so as I was watching these Facebook sites and, aside from food and water and shelter, the next biggest thing people were asking for was, I need to get my insulin. My insulin is now at 90 degrees because my power's out. I have no refrigerator and it's 90 plus degrees outside.
It's in summer,
Things that you don't even think about.
You don't think about.
Yeah.
And so that was when we really started thinking about, hey, I think we have a need for Big Blue to be down here. Yeah. So we started the conversations with the leadership team. Where do we put it? Where's the best location for it? Because at the end of the day, you have to have people that staff it, and you send it to a disaster area that has no food, no water, no electricity.
Yeah.
And so there were so many logistical decisions we had to make, but ultimately we ended up choosing putting it in a town called Galliano, which is just maybe 20 miles north of where that hurricane came on. And that store's under remodel right now. So it had heavy damage. But we ended up deploying Big Blue 7 days after the hurricane happened. It pulled out. We had our driver and everything that brought it down and set it up, and he actually stayed with it the entire time. So he every day he would adjust things, but it was just a need. There was just a need for what people needed.
How did we staff it? How many folks does it take to staff?
Yeah, so there's really no playbook. We've kind of written the playbook now as a result of it. We had deployed it 2 times before that, but this was the first time where we actually filled a significant amount of prescriptions. We were just shy of about 1,000 prescriptions in the 5 days that it was there and open, because we eventually were able to get back into the building before it opened. But the entire pharmacy team that from that local pharmacy staffed it.
Wow.
So we had 5+ technicians. We had 3 to 4 pharmacists. We had pharmacists coming over from other areas.
Wow.
Everybody just jumped in because they knew.
Was it for customers just around that area, or were people coming from long distances to get to it?
There were, it was more for people in that area because we had gotten all of our stores up on generator, but in that area, most stores are about 20 to 30 minutes apart.
Got it.
Certain stores, were even though they were open, they weren't necessarily open to capacity by any means, because we didn't have the associates either.
Got it.
So that was the biggest need, is we got it down there, and then we had to think about, logistically, what are we going to do with the associates? Where do they go if they're not from that area? So my RVP, Anthony and I worked together, and we secured a hotel, and we got them in touch with Walmart, got a generator put on the hotel, ordered shower trucks to be outside the hotel. So we were able to provide a means to obviously take showers and whatnot.
And that's for the pharmacists and stuff?
This was for the store.
Oh,
so
for
the
the
crew
store.
that was coming down so the workers that were in the store, the security guards, our own teams.
And so the store had significant damage.
It ripped every air conditioning unit off of the roof.
Wow.
Jeez.
Right.
So.
And that's the one that's going through a remodel right now. So there was a lot of cleanup. There was things like that had to be done.
Yep. And so it was really important. We wanted to get our people down into that area and our associates to help.
Yeah, sure.
But we had to put them somewhere. So
Yeah.
what was really exciting, you know, that was kind of the catapult. And the first time during a hurricane that we've ever put associates up in a hotel room. And so it actually ended up spreading into New Orleans and into Homa. And so we had there were additional hotels that we put generators on. And for associates that wanted to come back and work, we made arrangements to put them in hotel rooms.
That's great.
Wow.
Which was amazing. But logistically, when you think about, I've got 800 people, and then you add Division I,
Right.
Yes.
it was crazy. And so
Yeah.
at one point, we had 53 associates in the impacted areas in hotels. You know, and so, but it was, you know, it was, you just had to keep thinking of, okay, how do we continue to take care of them? We're asking them to go do something. We're asking them to, and they want to help their communities, but how can we help take care of them?
Yeah.
And that was the most important,
Sure.
That's incredible.
important piece.
What were some of the ways that you ended up helping a lot of associates there?
Yeah. So I will tell you, I felt a little bit, again, like I had to be like an air traffic controller out of my hotel room, I guess is the best way to call
Yeah.
it. So finally, the following Friday, I decided I'm going home. Like, I know I don't have electricity. I've got running water. It's under a boil alert, but I can at least go home. It's 90 degrees. There's no reason I can't do it. I need to be closer to my team. I actually made the decision to just leave. So I checked out of my hotel and I drove back and because I needed to be closer to my team. But before I left, they had given me a list. I said, what's your wish list? Where I'm at right now really didn't get impacted by the hurricane like expected. So a lot of our stores were full of supplies. So I said, what do you need? And so so we went ahead, and myself and another market director, we filled my entire car up with, I had easily 40 gallons of water, baby wipes. We had Clorox wipes. I had at least 30 cases of Gatorade because it was so hot.
Yeah.
And in our stores, especially, air conditioning wasn't going at full force.
yeah.
And so they were asking for things. And so I filled my car up. And when I went home, I said, okay, I'm coming home Friday. And I was able to get a hold of my market director in the highly impacted area. And I said, I'm going to get as close to you as I can because there was no power. And so actually on Saturday, I met him in a town called Boutte and unloaded my car. And I said, it's all taken care of. We pooled all of our money. We've paid for everything. Hand it out. Give it to whatever our associates need right now. Just give it out. And then on Labor Day, I actually spent the entire day cooking for my team on Big Blue because when I had called down, I had talked to a pharmacist and he said, we're living off ramen noodles.
Oh, please send help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was able to just cook. I just cooked a bunch of food, pasta, salads, and sandwiches, and breakfast and lunch, and cookies and drinks and chips and whatnot, and brought it all down to them, individually packaged and COVID approved.
Oh, there you go.
You know, it was all.
There you go.
But took an entire trunk full of food down, you know, to the team down there as well, just because they were, you know,
Oh, yeah.
they just wanted some food. But the best thing that we were, you know, those are just things that you do.
Sure.
You just do that kind of thing. And I wouldn't think twice, and I would do it a million times over. I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have gone to every store.
Yeah, sure.
But what we actually got to do as a regional team is we got to make red beans and rice for both stores in the big cauldrons with the paddle. And we actually cooked food for two of the stores that were really heavily impacted. And I made sure that we had to-go containers because I wanted to make sure if they needed to take food home to their families,
Yeah,
they
they could. Yeah.
because it doesn't stop with just that associate. It's their whole family.
Yeah.
You're taking care of more than just them.
Yeah.
In these instances.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Yeah, because there
That's
were
incredible.
several associates who had damage to their houses and flooding and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
How much of it was flooding and how much of it was the wind? And
So the majority of it was wind. There wasn't a lot of flooding. I mean, there was flooding, but
Yeah.
there wasn't nothing like Katrina.
right,
Because the levees held up in New Orleans just fine. But the wind was
Yeah, it was just strong
The wind was
winds.
very brutal. They said officially it measured 180 miles an hour, but right where it came on shore, where the fishing boats were at, they were taking readings at 203 miles an hour.
Oh my god.
So it would have made it a category 5, but they're saying it was a high category 4.
got it.
So
Jeez,
Wow.
that's crazy. So power was out for at least 7 days, huh?
for me, it was 7 days.
Yeah.
One of my market directors actually didn't have power for 3 weeks. Wow. So there are still areas that are just getting power back.
Just now.
Wow.
We still have people that are living in tents in their front yards of their houses right now.
Sure.
Because they're waiting for adjusters to come out. And so, it's just a little, you have to, sometimes you really have to take a step back and think about the little things that you can do. And even if it's for me, it was, when we were feeding associates, we would go to buy stuff and I'm like, don't buy the generic Coke. We're buying them the real stuff. Like these people need some real
sure.
home cooked, let's take care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it meant the world to them. I have never hugged more people, cried with more people, talked to people that lost everything, but were like, I'm okay. Wow. And I'm like,
Just the attitudes, right?
my
it's
gosh.
the perseverance of that team down there and of my team. And I'm here and I want to be very clear. I'm just a small portion of the great work that entire team did, the regional team, the market teams. We kept raising our hands. I mean, there were times where I was like, again, my little Facebook group I was
Yes.
following, they needed laundry services.
Yeah.
And I said, we need to move the Tide Hope Loads of Hope truck from this area down to this area. They need laundry services. Tide was coming in and doing up to 300 loads of laundry a day. They would let you drop it off. They would do your laundry, fold it, and then you'd come and pick it up.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, we need to move this truck. We need to get this truck down to where Big Blue is. And then when we had associates down there, the only thing that was open was a Domino's pizza. And as we started getting food into the store, we were supplying some snacks to the hotels so that they could take it up to their
Sure.
rooms. But we got, Anthony was able to arrange to have the home office bring a cooking team down, and they were cooking breakfast and lunch for the associates.
Wow.
But it's just those things. It's just
Yeah, there's so
making
much.
sure
yeah.
somebody knew.
Sure.
And I know Anthony and I had multiple conversations where I was like, we need another semi of water. We need to hand out water again. We need, and so it was interesting how I learned so much from a Facebook
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And just reading what people needed. I was in a couple groups, but I just kept trying to
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah. Just the that type of communication, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What was it like leading through something like
Mm.
that? Because I know, to Drew's point, like the anxiety leading up to it, but then knowing where are your people, how do you take care of them, how do you think in such a high pressure
Yep.
situation?
Well, I would tell you one of the things that, I function the best when I'm under pressure, when I'm
Yep.
stressed. I think the clearest and I can make decisions really fast. And so one of the things that, just really have to, I just kept reminding myself, I kept trying to make sure that I was putting myself in their shoes. What would I want? What would I need? And we had to make decisions fast.
Yeah.
And so there were times, there was a time where I picked up my phone and called the SVP of Health and Wellness. And I was like, I need to know what gas stations have gas. I can't get, and so it was, I didn't even think twice about it. And I looked and I know I told you, but and looking back at it now, you just don't realize how much you do. But you do, this is why we do what we do. And
Yeah.
it's about taking care of not only our people, just people in general.
Yeah, crisis is, and we've talked about this before, but in a crisis, and there's a lot of crises all over the country, all over the world that people lead through. It brings clarity to a mission, right?
It does.
And there's something about leading through that, that everybody is kind of rowing in the same direction.
Yep.
And as a leader, having to make decisions, to your point, that you've never had to make before.
No.
Yeah.
Very few people have actually gone through these hurricanes multiple times. So it gives you this sense of we're kind of all into this together. We're all trying to take care of each other and the community. And then you're having to just kind of think on your feet.
You do. And I just, like I said, you just it's kind of like everything that you do and every decision you make is in the best interest of your people or the community. And,
Yep.
What are you and your team doing right now with everything that's kind of happened?
oh, we
If
are
there's
enjoying
still
the fact that
things?
we are officially out of hurricane season.
Okay, fantastic. We
We
will
were-
also celebrate
Yeah.
that.
We were so early on the hurricane front when that
Yeah,
came through.
sure.
We still had a month and, we still had a
that's
good month and a
right.
half to go. And we thought if we get another one,
Yeah.
this is going to be even more devastating
Yeah.
than it already is. And so right now, I will tell you the cleanup is still happening. We still have people in hotels. We still have associates in hotels. We still have stores that are being repaired. Just a few. But we're just trying to find the new norm. And it's going to take time. There's a lot of devastation down in that area. But again, the resilience of the people is amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
If you go down and you ask someone, how did you fare in the storm, and they'll say, "Well, I did okay," and I'd say, "Okay, you didn't have that much damage," and they'd be like, "My entire roof blew off, but it could have been worse," and I'm like, "Wow."
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Puts
know?
everything into perspective.
It does. It does. And I know you and I had talked about, too, just, when you think about ACNT, an Associate in Critical Need Trust,
Yep.
I've become so fluent in that, and talked to so many associates about it because you just don't realize how important it is until you go through something like this.
Yeah, sure.
Just the little bit of being able to pay a bill, have a car, get some food.
Made a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. And so I would tell you, take the time to donate, because I've seen it. I've seen how it touches lives. I've seen people cry when they've gotten
Yeah, sure.
approved.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing to work. It really is amazing to work for a company that takes care of their associates.
Yeah. That's great.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
How cool is that? We have these things that occur around the country, and I think what you said, well, Bethany, is when a disaster like this occurs, there's the moment in time that it happens, and there's help along the way, and then the cameras kind of leave,
Yeah.
right? But life has to keep going. And, sometimes it's the week 2, week 3,
Yeah.
week 4, where some of the real heartache occurs. So it's fantastic that you're sticking with the team, obviously, and that we're continuing to help and support, which is great.
Yep. It's amazing.
What, for those that may be listening, that either may experience something like this in the future or have already experienced it, what kind of advice would you give people? We kind of talked a little about your learnings, but any advice that you would give to folks as they may be listening, or encouragement?
You know what? I would say, one of the things that I would say is don't be afraid to raise your hand when you need help. Be vulnerable. It's okay to say, listen, I'm not okay. I need someone to talk to. And it's okay to, to not be, that stone wall all the time. And I know everybody's had their moment. I mean, I had my moment.
Sure.
A couple of times in the hotel room where it was just you feel helpless.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
You do.
Yeah.
You feel overwhelmed, but I would tell people that it's okay, and that we get through it together. It is a team effort, and when I say team, in health and wellness, a lot of it's family because we work so close together back in the pharmacy or in the vision center.
Yeah.
But really down there, these stores are families, and the environment that they've created, and just being able, to be vulnerable and have conversations and say, hey, listen, I got to take care of myself, and that's okay. And at the same time, be strong for those that need someone. And be that listening
it's a combination.
ear.
It's a combination,
Yeah.
right?
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And-
It is.
But from a leadership perspective, or anybody, is you want to come in there and be
Yep.
the leader that comes in and solves everything, which nobody can, right?
Right.
But then there's the flip side of it, and there's time where you need to be that rock.
You do.
But you also there's this time where you have to. It's good to show vulnerability because we all get overwhelmed.
Yep.
Everybody does. Everybody has these moments where you're sitting in the hotel room by yourself, and it's just completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's okay to share that. It's okay to let other people experience, because when you talk about it, it normalizes it for everybody else.
Yep.
Right.
I'm human just like everybody
That's right.
else. I have the
Yeah.
same feelings that everybody else does.
That's right.
Absolutely. It ties into that well-being aspect.
Oh, yes. And I couldn't tell you how many times I had to use the phrase, I don't know what you're going through, but I'll sit here and I'll listen to you. What can we do? What do you need? A lot of times it was, do you have a place to stay right now?
Yeah.
What is it that you've got? And I can't say I understand because I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, that's right.
And so lying about it is
Right.
not the right thing to do, but saying I've
It's
never
hard. Yeah, it's hard
I've
for me
never
to understand
experienced
that,
what you're
yeah.
going through, but you know what? I'm going to walk side by side with you. I'm going to, make sure that you understand here's your resources that are available to you.
That's so important. That's so important, and it is a form of empathy, right? To admit that, hey, I can't relate to that, but I'm going to be here with you and do my best to help support you, right? And listen,
Yeah.
and try to understand, because it's hard sometimes to relate and experience something with somebody that you're just not in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
And
No.
sometimes it's disingenuous to say you do understand.
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. If my house was a hotel, I would have put people
Yeah,
up.
yeah, right.
And I actually did at one point. The covering regional for the neighborhood market health and wellness team is from Washington. And
wow.
she's like, I need to get down into the area. And I
Yeah.
said, you're not going to find a hotel. Come and stay at my house. Never met her before. Just let her come on over and stay.
That's awesome.
So, I said, come on over. I said, if worst comes to worst and you can't get a rental car, I'll come pick you up. Or we'll make it happen because I know you need to see your team too.
Yeah, sure.
And so I let her, I was like, Emily, come on down. You can come stay in my
That's
house.
awesome.
So it's just how I was raised.
Yeah, sure.
You just take care of people.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
It's a intense story,
is.
but I think it's so good for people to hear these types of stories. One is for you to prepare yourself if you're ever in these types of
Yes.
situations,
Right.
right?
Yes.
The other, though, is just to
It's the only 72-page document for preparing that I think I've read from cover to cover because I
To
was
make sure.
terrified.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But it's good for people to hear that, and it's also good for people to understand the humanity
Yeah.
of what we do, especially in the health and wellness space, because you're dealing with tough situations all the time, and this level of empathy and dealing with patients and with customers is your full-time job, right?
Yeah.
And so this kind of puts it on a pedestal in a very unique way, but I think it's really good for people to hear these stories.
Yeah. And I am so thankful that you were here today and you shared this with us. And I think it's important that people who are still in those affected areas know that we haven't forgotten about it.
Yep. And that's what I keep reminding them. When I see them, I say we haven't forgotten about you. And that's when we brought Big Blue, the pharmacy down there, even if they didn't use the pharmacy, even if they didn't need to use Big Blue, when Anthony and I had talked, I said, and leadership team, I said, they need to see that Walmart's coming into an area that people don't want to come into.
Yeah.
No one else was going that far deep in Louisiana. I was like,
Wow.
to know that it's there, they know that Walmart has not forgotten about them. And I said, and that is very, very important.
Yeah.
And I said, and like I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. But I was like, that it's important to them
Yeah,
because
that's
they
right.
do feel forgotten.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
And so,
It's easy to do, right?
yep.
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're
You're
clearly, Bethany, you're clearly making a difference.
Yeah.
Man, are you
Your
making a
team, I
difference
swear.
in
Yeah.
in your community and your team. But thank you for what you've done. And for your team that might be listening, thank you guys too.
Yes.
I've heard nothing but great things about the response of the local
Yes.
teams there
They're
in
amazing.
Louisiana. So just really good stuff. You make yourself proud and your team's proud and make Walmart proud. So thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
deal. Safe travels back to
Yes.
New Orleans.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Back to New Orleans.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye.